So as always, we look forward to the new season with high expectation, remembering 92 managers who are on the rack again.
You're probably asking yourself, why am I doing this again? But do you remember when Leicester won the league? That's why you do it. That's why you strap in, year after year, and endure the heartbreak and the hurt. Because maybe, just maybe, this is your year. Or maybe it's not. Maybe your ambitions aren't as lofty. But that's okay too. You could just be hoping for promotion, or to avoid relegation. The scale of your ambition doesn't actually matter, so long as it just means something to you. Amateur, part-timer, semi-pro, there's a level for everyone, and at every level, everywhere, everyone has a chance. Football goes deep in England, very deep. They call it the pyramid. Layer upon layer upon layer. An almost maniacal obsession with the game exists here. Football is etched into the soul of the place. And when Bill Shankly said, "Some people think football is a matter of life and death, but I can assure you that it's much more serious than that," he was right. And whilst he wasn't talking about the English specifically, in a single sentence, a Scotsman encapsulates what football means to the English. It's a way of life, religious almost, with the pyramid its church, and the people its adoring congress. Local clubs are societal totems, touchstones. Here more than anywhere, the game belongs to the people, and it's every little boy's dream. But it's also every old man's dream, and now many young girls as well. So often the light at the end of the tunnel, a reward for a long week's work. Clubs are the beating heart that pumps life into communities, and dissolves social and economic boundaries. Everywhere has a team, every city, every town, every village, and every single year, the winners and losers reset for another ride on the rodeo. Dream big, everyone, because you never know. And if it doesn't work out, there's always next year. The English football season is back, and this is the Sporting Almanac Podcast.
Look at his face! Just look at his face!
Thomas, it's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Here's Hawk! Deeney!
Marvellous. Back in our wheelhouse.
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Back in our wheelhouse.
The intro says it all. It's a sport that means so much to so many people. It's a sport that means so much to us. That idea of there's always next year. It's the most cruel and optimism-forming mantra there can possibly be. And it's so true. And sometimes it is your year, sometimes it isn't your year.
Yeah. Well, more often than not, it's not your year.
That's it, yeah, which makes the winning all the more special.
Yeah. Have that carrot dangled.
There might be a different definition of success, but every team can be successful this season. There is always that hope.
Yeah. That's the awesome thing about football. I mean, it's very difficult to measure before your season starts, but like literally there is a world in which everyone in the league is happy with what happens.
Well, potentially.
Like, I don't mean across the board. I mean, there is a world in which you could theoretically be proud of what your team has done, regardless of the position they finish in, and that could apply to every team finishing in every position.
Yeah, absolutely.
It never works out like that, but it's definitely theoretically possible.
You don't start a season with 24 teams thinking they're going to win the league.
No, exactly. Yes,
but you sometimes get it where any one of those 24 teams does end up winning the league. You can get a team who's pipped for relegation who end up in the playoffs and get themselves promoted.
Yeah.
Or you can have a team that has just been relegated from the Premier League who everyone thinks will bounce straight back up and end up getting relegated to League One. CC Luton.
The Michael Doublé. Michael Doublé relegation.
Yeah.
It happens. But so do the Michael Doublé promotions.
Yeah, or the triple promotions every so often.
Every so often, and we will be talking about some fairy tales and some heartbreak. Because we're talking about the English football season, Jack.
Yes.
The English football season.
Yeah, so this week we're talking about the Football League and the Football Pyramid. So going all the way down, right to the bottom, to your little village team, all the way up to the brink of the Premier League. And next season we will do the Premier League.
Next week we will do the Premier League. We're going back to back.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's early in the morning.
It is early in the morning, earlier than normal, but it's a convenient slot.
It is indeed. Trying to get it in before the excitement of the sporting afternoon, because we're recording on Sunday, which means the Lionesses are playing in the European Championship final this afternoon.
They are.
As well as the Grand Prix, as well as other things.
And the Lions, they've done it.
Yeah.
Which is why we've turned our focus to the football, but it was awesome.
Yeah, they didn't look like they were going to do it, but they did it.
Yeah.
Despite some atrocious Australian diving.
Yes, in the G as well, at home. What are you doing? Blowing an 18-point lead. Anyhow.
Where do we begin?
Football in England. Yeah, football in England. I all I was going to say was, we know as a pair of Englishmen that the English can come off as thinking that it's all about us and like we're the best team, and everybody in Europe thinks that we've got like, this heightened sense of like how good we are, an entitlement to win, this, that, and the other. Like, let's start by setting the scene. That's all ironic. We don't believe that. We know we're shit on an international scale, but the one thing we will make no apologies for, and maybe you wouldn't get this unless you stayed here for a prolonged period of time and like immersed yourself in it and saw it firsthand, but we know that you all love football too, but you don't love it as much as us.
I love how you start off saying like, we're not arrogant, we're just doing it ironically, and then dive straight into, but we love it more than you do.
But I think it
goes deep. It goes so deep.
That bit's true. I think that bit is true. Like, all of the stuff about how, we're going to win it every time we go to, England go to a major tournament.
That's all coming home.
Yeah, that's all tongue in cheek. The song is about how shit we are. I think we said that previously on another episode. But the one thing I just will not apologize for is like, you don't love it more than us. Like, and we're going to make the case for why that's the situation this morning, I think. And if people want to retort and they have different opinions, so be it. But my view is it's just not entrenched like it is in England anywhere else.
Yeah, it's not to say that fans aren't extremely passionate elsewhere in the world, and often more passionate than English fans, and often do so in a wholly more positive way than English fans historically have expressed their love for the game. But it runs so deep in England. It is so entrenched. It is, as you say in the intro, every village has a team, every town has a couple, every city has several. It's such a huge deal. What
I'm really trying to say is, because I agree with everything you've said there about other nations' passion and like their conduct, and particularly their conduct.
Yeah, relatively speaking.
I'm not saying that other places don't support their teams, individual teams, more passionately than like English fans support their teams. And I'm not saying that people don't love their international team more than perhaps we love our international team. What I'm saying is, and this is the distinction, this is the nuance that I need people to grasp, you don't love the game as much as us. It is entrenched into the community and the soul of the nation.
It goes so deep. I mean, in terms of generational, as I've said before, like your granddad's granddad probably stood on the terraces watching players that are just whispers and legends to you, but were everything to them back in the day. Yeah. And those stories get told and passed on, and it's everything. It's community.
It is. It's community. It's family. It's relationships. You just said it. It's cross-generational. It's you can't disassociate football from just places and people in England. Like, the two go hand in hand. If you take nothing away from our argument, it's this, right? If you're not from England and you've watched English football and you think it's shit, then ask yourself why we love it so much. Like, because we do play a terrible brand, but we still turn up at level fucking 12 and watch it. Like,
we do.
Don't make out that you are prepared to watch football in all circumstances, in all weather conditions, the way we are, because you're not. You're not. Just be honest about that.
I'll be going to plenty of level 11 matches this season with the mighty Wigginton Grasshoppers in the York League, which is way down at a point where, as we all discuss, you can't even automatically get promoted at that point. You have to hit certain criteria and hope you get voted in. But the dream is still there. If you are good enough, if you invest well enough, if you develop your team well enough, the pathway is there. Imagine Wigginton Grasshoppers in the Premier League. You never know.
You literally never know.
I'm fairly certain, but you know.
Like, you are right, because Wigginton is a very small place. So unless it grew exponentially, it probably couldn't sustain a club of that size. But it is actually possible. That's the absurd thing about it.
And it has happened.
Yeah. And well, should we explain what we're like, why it's possible? The pyramid itself.
Or we could just spend the whole episode just raving about how great English football is, even though we hate it at the same time.
Yeah. And there, in a nutshell, is the contradiction.
So where do we begin?
Well, I guess we explain what the pyramid is and why we think it's so special.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of teams, as we say, the depth it goes to. Let's say Wigginton Grasshoppers, level 11, the York League.
Are you going bottom up?
Well, do you want to go top down?
No, you go bottom up. I like it.
Small village club, lovely setup, lovely pavilion, great investment has gone into this club. It's a club with a lot of heart, a lot of respect, and a lot of great people helping run it. The teams playing matches a weekend, you get a few hundred people going out and watching them. Might get a newspaper report on them. Certainly we get a bit more, a few photographs and everything going in when it's a cup final or something they get to. It is big on a very local level in the local paper. And then it goes up from there. So that is level 11. That is the regional feeder leagues. So of them, there's dozens and dozens of them all over the country. There's like the Liverpool League. There'll be a West Midlands League. There'll be obviously a York League, and then there's a North Yorkshire League as well. So it's very, very regional. It is the best sort of local players around. Yeah, it's obviously amateur, fully amateur at that level.
Yeah.
But from there, from the level upwards, if you are good enough at that level and you win your league and you meet certain criteria, you have to have like floodlights in place, you have to have certain facilities available, you can apply and you could get elected to level 10. And level 10 is the first league which is fully where it's possible, simply from your performance, to get promoted all the way to the very top.
Yeah.
There's no election process involved. There is still some criteria. You have to have a certain level of stadium and facilities. Otherwise, your promotion gets refused until you meet that standard.
Which has happened to Chelmsford, and I'll come to that later.
Yeah?
But no, yeah, it is, it's finances and facility criteria increases as you go up, because you have to be able to sustain like a business model, essentially, don't you? Otherwise, they won't have you effectively being an irresponsible employer. Like as you get more senior, that's probably the best way of explaining it.
Something like 17 leagues at level 10. But from level 9 upwards, it is halved every time. So there's eight divisions at level 8, 4 at level 7, 2 at level 6, and then 1 at level 5. And level 5 is the highest league, which is considered non-league.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the league below the English Football League. And that is called the National League, appropriately, because it is an all-national competition at that level. But obviously it splits off into 2 from there. And I think the plan is eventually all the way down the FA-run leagues, which actually I think it already has, because I think level 9 is the lowest that the FA directly are responsible for. I think level 10 and below is they are affiliated leagues.
Local FAs, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
The National League, I think the National League is a really interesting point in the pyramid, because as you say, it is the point at which it splits. That's when the steps begin, effectively. Level 6 being the National League North and South. But those two are also so fascinating, because in the National League, you have a combination of full-time and part-time teams in a professional league. So the National League is a professional league, but not fully professional in terms of its players and clubs. And then that sort of cascades into the National League North and South, as you might imagine. And you have an increasingly semi-pro set of teams with some full-time teams, but there aren't any professional leagues for any professional teams at level 6, but you might get a few out of level 5, because of course they're getting relegated out of the Football League, where the teams are entirely professional.
Entirely professional at that point, yes.
Which basically means that level 5 and 6 are probably the most acutely competitive.
Yeah, it's like a mixing pot, essentially.
Mm.
You get teams who have, as I say, invested from the lower reaches, level 9, level 10, and found their way upwards through good management and good investment into National League North and South, or even into the National League. And you get other teams, in many cases, who used to be very, very good Football League teams, who are relegated down all the way into the National League. I mean, York City are an example of that. Currently in the National League, they were the second best team in the National League last season. They came second, and the problem with the National League, which has been very well reported, and anyone who's seen Welcome to Wrexham will know this, is that you only get one automatic promotion spot out of the National League into the Football League, and then playoffs to determine the second team. York City were in a ding-dong battle last season, but ended up coming second, and then lost in the playoffs. So they are still in the National League. It is a very hard league to get out of.
It's really hard.
But it's a big club, York.
Yeah, it is.
Very nice stadium nowadays.
It is a very nice stadium.
Used to have a nice stadium too, at Bootham Crescent, but was getting a bit dated, and is now Holmes there now.
Yeah, we've been to York a few times, both the old and the new stadium, haven't we? Great place.
Yeah, really great fans as well.
What you were saying about the National League, though, pal, like that's true in the National League North and South. Like, there's only one autos place, and then there's a playoff, but the playoff is an extended playoff, so 6 teams go into the playoff. Second and third get a bye into the semis, and then you effectively have a quarterfinal between the other 4 teams. Yeah, which means that only 2 go up. And the reason I mentioned that is, I mean, I can talk about them in a bit more detail, perhaps at in Chelmsford and Billericay, they're 2 local clubs to me, at level 6 and 7 respectively. So level 6, Chelmsford being in National League South, Billericay being in the Isthmian Premier at level 7. The thing that's really fascinating about it is, because we were saying about that like melting pot of pro, semi-pro, full-time, part-time at that level, if you don't go up, it can be like completely cutting for like your chances. So yeah, to illustrate what I'm trying to say here is maybe less so in the National League, because it is a professional league. The club is probably closer to professionalism. It can probably retain its players a bit easier. But Chelmsford came second, not last year, the year before last. Highest ever points finish, highest ever finish in National League South. Didn't go up autos, missed out by like 5 points or what have you. That's fair enough. Like that's not unlucky. That's a relatively big gap. But got a bye into the semis of the playoffs. Played Braintree, who are a bit of a yo-yo club between National League South and National League. Got done in extra time. Lost 3-2, 2-0 down, 2 goals in injury time to bring it back 2-2 for it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were texting during that.
Absolutely. I was there, mate. There's flares and stuff. It was insane. But then had our pants pulled in extra time despite that incredible comeback. Went out, so don't go up, and then got absolutely gutted by the National League. All our players left, basically, because none of them were on serious contracts. And last year we came, I don't know, like 14th or something, like horribly mid-table. So, that's your point about like that maybe being a bit unfair that they bottleneck promotion through this channel, I think is well-founded.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you go further down, it's the same. It's only like one automatic promotion and everyone else in the playoffs, because obviously you're splitting one league into 2 all the way down. So there's 4 teams relegated from the National League, but there's a National League North and National League South. Only 2 teams get promoted from each, so that's the champion plus the playoff winner in every case. So it's very hard actually to get promoted at any level below that point. The point that people make then again about the National League is that's not the case. They're just getting promoted straight into League 2 of the English Football League. And quite often, the team that wins the National League, certainly for the past 5 or 6 years, the team that's won the National League has then been very successful in League 2, either reaching the playoffs, maybe narrowly missing the playoffs, or in some cases getting automatically promoted, such as Wrexham, as I'm sure we'll mention at some point, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware of. So it is the standard between League 2 and the top of the National League and even the top of League 2. It's not that different. There's not a huge gap between them, really.
No, it's not. Yeah, it is a professional league with largely professional clubs, with a few semi-pro clubs. There's no reason why you can't have a bigger route through, in my view.
Yeah, like Stockport County, obviously, they got promoted in 2022. They won the National League. and they were knocking on the door of getting promoted to the Championship last season. That's the second level of English football. It's an onwards and upwards kind of thing. If you've got momentum and you've got a good squad, and you can reinforce it a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And like I know you're talking about National League into League Two, and I was sort of using my experience of Chelmsford and Billericay to sort of support your argument. I can take that further. Like this again is applicable to the one league below, but I think it serves to illustrate your point nicely, which is, you know what I was saying earlier about how we love football?
Yeah, we do.
Chelmsford and Billericay, okay? Listening to me wax lyrical about English football earlier, you could be forgiven for thinking, like, as you say, just fucking off they go again. Like, no problem. But Chelmsford was established in 1878, right? Chelmsford City.
It's crazy.
Like, we're in level 6 of the pyramid, but we've been around since 1878. Billericay has been around since 1880, 2 years later, and they're in level 7. And both the clubs, we'll get into how the pyramid came to its current iteration, but they've effectively been at this level since like the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't moved. Chelmsford have been in the National League South since 2008, 2009, but before that they were in the Isthmian Prem, which is the one Billericay are in, for like a prolonged period of time. They basically joined the Southern Premier of the Isthmian Prem at its formation in 1979, and then except 1 year in 88, 89, and between 96 and 2004, when it went down to level 8, they actually have just been at that level the entire time. And then they got promoted in 2004 to the National League South, and we've been there ever since. And if you want a even more tangible set of statistics to support how damn hard it is to go up, we've been in the playoffs 11 times in 16 years.
Yeah.
And we made the final once. And we go out in the playoffs all the time. It's so hard to get up because
that's Mayo County Gaelic football levels of bad luck there. Are you sure you're not cursed?
We're just not rich.
It makes a huge difference. I was just looking at some stats actually for Chelmsford. Their record attendance, bear in mind this is an Isthmian League game, so this it may have been actually level 6 at the time. I think this might have been before the National League North and South, or maybe it was level 7, but they got 3,200 in their ground at like level 6 or 7. This was 15 years ago, which is very impressive.
Yeah, well, do you know what the record attendance is in the National League South? Just generally.
No?
2024, 29th of March, 6,462 went to Yeovil versus Torquay at level 6.
I know this doesn't seem a lot compared to, obviously, the Premier League. You got 76,000 people or whatever it is in Old Trafford every week, and 65,000 people at Anfield now or whatever else in the Emirates, about the same level. But it's non-league football. It's semi-professional football at best. A lot of the time, it's a lot of people who are very keen, very local, and supporting their club. And
you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
What?
Because we like it more than you.
Yeah. I mean, the Championship is the second level of English football. I think it's I might be quoting this wrong, but it's in the top 5 most attended leagues in Europe. I want to say, obviously, the Bundesliga and the Premier League are miles above everyone, because the Germans, they love football too. They're the ones who have given us a run for our money.
They are, yes. Good point. They got better ownership rules as well.
Yeah, but the Championship's not. It's not far below. And that's obviously the second tier of English football. We love it.
We do love it. If you needed an illustration of, does this like translate to the players? You know? Like, does it translate to the managers? Like, are you guys just talking about basically there being like a little bit of a culture of going down to your local team and supporting them, big fucking wow sort of thing? It does translate. Like, Andy Carroll is playing for Dagenham and Redbridge in the National League South this year. Like, obviously, he's at the sunset of his career, but he's staying in the game. He's still playing. He wants to play some competitive football. People are going to turn out to see that. I mean, Chelmsford have previously been managed by Dean Holdsworth.
Yeah.
Do you know who our oldest ever player is? Of course you don't. So I'll just put you out your misery. Peter Taylor, as in Peter Taylor, who gave David Beckham the England captaincy during his one-game spell as caretaker. He played for Chelmsford when he was 42.
Nice.
Like,
solid.
Yeah, people love it. Billericay, Mate, I mean, I've got a better story about Billericay, their former owner, a guy called Glenn Tamplin, who's a local millionaire who's also an absolute nutcase. He, during his tenure...
As they tend to be.
Yeah. He's also now bankrupt. As
they tend to go.
According to the internet, at least. He, when he was in charge of, or when he owned Billericay, rather, I say in charge because he literally made himself manager. That's how mad he was.
Nice.
Got the players to sing R. Kelly's I Am the Greatest before every game.
Problematic.
Was just, very problematic. A born-again Christian and just a bit nuts. Once threatened one of the players with gangster threats and was investigated by the police. Sorry, I'm going off on tangents here. When he was in the halcyon days of Billericay's lofty heights of National League South, they got Jamie O'Hara, Paul Konchesky and Jermaine Pennant playing for them.
Yeah, it's impressive.
People love the lower levels of the pyramid, mate. This isn't a thing that we're inventing in our minds just to, try and emphasize the love of the English for football. It's real, it's tangible. It translates into players, managers, fans. It's everywhere.
It runs so deep. It's kind of hard to explain a little bit as well. It's everything. It's so ingrained with our culture, for better and worse. So much of our, even politics and things sort of revolve around football, or there's influenced by football or whatever else.
You better support a team, right?
Yeah.
You want to get elected, you better at least lie.
Yeah, and unlike David Cameron, don't forget which team you support.
Even members of the royal family affiliate themselves to a club for virtually no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. It's always Aston Villa. That was David Cameron's team as well. Yeah. Or apparently. Though he said West Ham once.
Yeah. Get the colours mixed up.
Prince William, big Aston Villa fan.
At least he actually goes to games.
Well, he's a chairman or patron, whatever it is, of the FA.
Of the FA.
He seems to say what you want about royalty, but he's always there. I guess it's sort of the point.
Yeah, that is the point, really, when it comes to being at least considered a reputable football fan, or one that isn't worthy of mockery. The bare minimum you can do is turn up. Yeah, mate. I could do this all day. I guess we haven't actually finished the pyramid, so should we quickly explain that levels 1 to 4 is the Football League? Well,
technically levels 2 to 4 is the Football League.
Yes.
Level 1 is the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now.
Yes. Sorry.
But historically, level 1 to 4.
Professional football is what I meant to say.
So there's three main organisations that you kind of have to consider in all this. There's the Football Association, which are the overarching governing body of the sport. They are just in charge of everything, and everyone has to affiliate to them or be under their jurisdiction, whatever it is. They control levels 5 to 9 directly. So that's the National League down to sort of those not quite the feeder leagues, but the levels below that in the pyramid.
Yes.
They control those leagues directly. Then you've got the Football League, which I'll go into the history of and the founding of shortly. That is currently levels 2 to 4. It used to be levels 1 to 4. But then in 1992, a new organisation was founded, who you will have heard of, which is the Premier League. And that was a breakaway. A lot to do. We'll talk about it next week, how it came about. A lot to do with TV rights and money, obviously, as it always tends to be. They run level 1 only. And then levels 1 to 4, so the Premier League and the Football League, are considered league football. And everything below that is considered non-league football, even though they play in leagues. But that's just how it's defined. Because it used to be Football League clubs, non-Football League clubs. So it's Football League, league clubs, non-Football League, non-league clubs. Simple.
Very simple. 92 of them. 92 professional clubs.
Yeah, 92 Football League and Premier League combined, 92 clubs, so 92 league teams. And that's been the same since 1950, I believe.
Yes, it has. But I mean, that 92 is literally the tip of the iceberg, or the tip of the pyramid, literally.
Yeah, literally.
Because there are 1,840 teams playing in the pyramid. 1,748 of them are outside the Football League or professional levels.
Yeah.
Which is, astonishing. If you wanted to add in the series of local FA leagues that you were talking about, sort of levels 11 downwards, you've got another 4,718 clubs. I mean, it's mad.
Yeah. It's not a huge country. Certainly geographically, it's a tiny country.
Yeah.
Fairly big population, but not a big country.
50,000 players in the pyramid, 95,000 players in the feeder leagues. You know, it's nearly 150,000 people playing like structured, organised football.
Yeah.
Doesn't even include Sunday League, you know.
I was going to say, yeah. There's you may have heard the term Sunday League. This is not Sunday League we're talking about. Sunday League's a whole separate entity which is not on the pyramid. Sunday Leagues, they don't tend to be quite as professional. It's not the right word in this context, but they don't tend to be as quite as focused to their craft sometimes.
It's recreational, right? It's recreational football.
Let's just say the classic Sunday League game is a whole load of people with hangovers kicking the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it's agricultural stuff. I mean, if you thought that you'd seen bad football by watching like English organised stuff.
Oh, you have no idea.
Get down to a local park on a Sunday morning. It'll open your eyes to how football can be played.
There's many ways to go about playing a football match, put it that way.
There are. But yeah, I mean, it's everywhere, mate. It's ridiculous.
I think we should probably move on and talk about the Football League itself, because we've talked a lot about the pyramid and non-league football.
Yes.
Football League itself starts this weekend, so best get on and discuss that.
It does. You want to take the lead?
I can go right back.
Which one? Where do you want to start? Yeah, the beginning?
In the beginning. Yeah. I'll try and keep this brief because you know what I'm like. I can go deep with this history. And you tell me off for it regularly, but...
I don't tell you off regularly. I tell you off for trying to tell every story.
Yes. I have a lot of stories.
Because you love it. That's both it's one of your most endearing qualities, mate.
I need to remember that there's going to be a Football League season next season as well.
Yeah, and there'll probably be big games.
Yeah. Anyway. The Football League was the very first organised association football league in the world when it was founded in 1888. So it's super old. It was proposed by a board member and the future chairman of Aston Villa, which is a Perthshire-born Scot named William McGregor. Who was, interestingly for Villa fans, he was also the man responsible for the lion on Villa's badge, because that was the same lion that is on the Scottish Royal Standard.
Oh, yeah. Never even noticed that.
Yeah.
Good trivia.
I didn't notice that either, yeah. So McGregor, he was frustrated by the inconsistency of matches between clubs. Basically, you had FA competitions, you had the FA Cup, and then you had sort of local cup competitions, the West Midlands Cup, or whatever it was in this case, for Aston Villa. And outside of those matches, you just organised friendlies, between two good clubs with lots of good players to try and get as many people into the stadium as possible to sell tickets, obviously, because that's the point.
It is.
But he was frustrated because they were inconsistent to arrange and they were getting postponed a lot. So they get postponed, obviously, if an FA Cup match or a local cup match clashed, or just because you might not have enough players that day, or maybe there was a more lucrative opposition available for you. So there was no consistency, so it made it hard to pay players who you get on contracts, because obviously you want to get the best players of your club to sell more tickets, but it made it hard to pay them, budget for it and everything else. So as we discussed previously in our FA Cup episode, the balance of power in English football had shifted in the 1880s, away from old amateur clubs like the Wanderers, like the Old Etonians, to new professional clubs like Preston North End, Blackburn Rovers, and it was creating basically like a north-south split in the league, which is reminiscent to any rugby fans of what happened in rugby union, which eventually led to the split of the league into rugby league and rugby union. So rugby league was a northern league. Rugby union refused to go professional. Rugby league obviously split away, northern teams becoming professional. And that was because those northern people playing the game tended to be working class. They wanted to do it for a living. They wanted to make money out of it, so they wouldn't have to go to the factories 5.5 days a week and then play their football after that. They wanted to dedicate their time and make money out of playing football. Unlike the Rugby Football Union, the FA saw the writing was on the wall, and after a few northern teams threatened to break away, they gave in and allowed professionalism, a limited amount of professionalism. You had to have been born or lived within 6 miles, I think, of your club ground originally to be able to be professional. So you have to live there for like 2 years, or you have to be born there, which is crazy, really.
Bit like Gaelic football.
Yeah, but essentially. So it's sort of like limited professionalism at first, although that went out the window pretty quickly. So obviously with professionalism came a better level of performance, better crowds, more money to be thrown around as a result, but it created more problems. As I say, teams would cancel friendlies if more profitable alternatives arose, etc., etc., etc. And for McGregor, the final straw was when Villa had 5 consecutive matches postponed on 5 successive Saturdays. Something had to be done, so he wrote letters, and he managed to unite 5 of the biggest clubs of the day, which were Aston Villa, West Bromwich Albion, Bolton Wanderers, Blackburn Rovers and Preston North End, all of which are still playing nowadays.
Yeah.
Most of which are Football League teams nowadays. Aston Villa, of course, are a Premier League team. And Bolton, in turn, suggested the addition of Wolverhampton Wanderers, Burnley and Accrington. That's not Accrington Stanley.
Not Accrington Stanley. I know, I looked that up.
The famous Accrington Stanley. It is Accrington, who were later folded, and Accrington Stanley were founded 3 years later. Finally, Notts County, Everton, Derby County and Stoke. Not Stoke City yet, but they later became Stoke City.
Yeah, they got renamed.
Because Stoke wasn't a city at that point, were added. So that made 12 teams, and that formed the very first Football League. 1888, 1889, 6 Northern teams from Lancashire, 6 Midlands teams, depending on your definition of where the Midlands is.
Significant because Everton are the most ever-present side in the top flight as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many years they've been there.
Yeah, Everton are masters of not getting relegated.
They missed 4 seasons through early relegations, I think. But they are one of only 3 clubs to have played more than 100 top flight seasons, along with Villa being another one, and the Arsenal, of course.
Yes. Arsenal being the longest serving team in the top flight.
Yeah, ever present since 1919, which you're going to probably come to with the expansion of the league in a minute.
Perhaps. So it was pretty simple at first. In fact, this format lasted for many, many years. Every team played each other twice, once at home, once away, with 2 points for a win. There was only one division originally. The bottom 4 teams every season were essentially kicked out and had to apply to be re-elected. The first season, they were all re-elected, but the second season, Stoke weren't re-elected, and they were replaced with Sunderland, who won 3 out of the next 5 titles. So Sunderland were one of the dominant teams early on. For the first season, though, there was only one team in it. That first 1888-1889 season, Preston North End got 40 out of a possible 44 points, drawing 4 games, but going undefeated to become the first of only 2 teams to go the entire season in the top flight unbeaten. The second being...
The Arsenal?
in 2003-2004.
You know it. The Invincibles, baby.
Yeah. So they were the original Invincibles, and they did so with quite a lot of Scottish players, Scotland being the first of many innovators to stand opposed to English tactical rigidity over the next century and a half. Scottish teams, or Scottish players, tending to favour a passing game over a dribbling-based game, which, funnily enough, if you've watched modern football, actually works quite well. So there you go. So Preston also won the FA Cup, becoming the first of 8 English teams to achieve this feat. For 100 points, Ben, can you name the other 7 to have won the double?
Liverpool.
Yes.
Arsenal.
Yes.
Man City.
Yes.
Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea.
Yes.
So I've got 5.
The one you don't want to say.
Spurs.
Yeah.
Tottenham.
And one team we've mentioned already, who are very good now.
They're very good now.
I was in Champions League last season. Just missed the Champions League this season.
Villa.
There you go.
Yeah. Villa, yeah, because they won a few titles in the 70s, didn't they? Or something. 80s.
They won the double in 1897, something like that.
Oh, okay. Well,
anyway,
an irrelevant double then.
There you go.
Sorry, Villa fans.
Villa fans would be delighted at the early mention they got in this, and then you've just put them back down to earth.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I remember they won. I remember, I wasn't alive, but they won the league in the 80s and then won the European Cup the year after, and I thought it was that period that we were talking about, but
no, not quite.
But no, it's in the 18 somethings.
Yeah, one of the early dominant teams. So the league expanded after that. 14 teams, so Darwin were added as Stoke came back. But a rival football league had been formed, as is so often the case. I mean,
yeah, it's a theme.
Those Americans aren't unique. They're just following us. So.
I like what you're doing over there. I'm going to copy it, and then and then either make money by being better than you or being bought out by you.
You know what? I'm gonna drop a bone here, because William McGregor, his idea for the football league, was actually heavily influenced, apparently, by Major League Baseball in America. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
But also by other, I think county championship cricket as well influenced them as well, which is obviously a very British concept. which we will
Indeed.
eventually come to.
Yeah, still having cold sweats about explaining cricket like we discussed last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alliance League, that's what you're going to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Alliance League was formed as a rival league to the Football League not long after the Football League started. It ran for 3 seasons and included such teams as Nottingham Forest, who were the 1892 champions, Small Heath, who became Birmingham City, the Wednesday, who became Sheffield Wednesday.
They should have stayed as the Wednesday. I like that.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it? I was literally thinking that when I wrote that down. Some EFL stalwarts like Crewe Alexandra, Lincoln City, Grimsby Town, Walsall, and then 2 teams from Manchester named Ardwick and Newton Heath, who are now better known as Manchester City and Manchester United.
Yeah, they did okay.
Fairly prominent teams, yeah.
They did okay.
They've had their moments. One more historical than the other.
Yeah, one has had a slightly easier, fast-tracked route to their success, but there we are. Sorry,
Well,
Manchester
yes.
City fans. You've endured a lot. It's not you I'm angry with.
I'm going to be talking about Manchester City in a bit, actually, and yeah, not necessarily all good stuff. Yeah, so from 1892-93, it merged into the Football League, forming the second division, which it essentially was before anyway. Like Stoke, when they weren't re-elected, they just went into the Alliance League, so it was basically the second division anyway. So interestingly, to me, a nerd at least, automatic promotion and relegation didn't exist between the two until 1898. At first, the top 3 from Division 2 played the bottom 3 from Division 1, as in, I think, third bottom playing top and so on, bottom playing top of one league, whatever, in test matches, basically. So if you won it, you'd have a chance at being elected into Division 1, although it wasn't still automatic promotion at that point. It became a mini-league system eventually, but it basically went out because the very last time they did it in 1897-98, Stoke and Burnley just played out a goalless draw, knowing it would be enough for both to be in Division 1 next season at the expense of Newcastle and Blackburn. So it was replaced with a straight 2 up, 2 down after that, which lasted until 1973, 2 up, 2 down. It was 3 up, 3 down from 1973, and then obviously the playoffs later. It didn't matter in the end anyway, because Newcastle and Blackburn were reprieved when the league was expanded to 18 teams.
Yes.
So that's it. That's the Football League. That's it.
But that expansion, the one thing we should throw a bone to is that included Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, so in the mid 1890s, the league expanded and brought in a few new teams, one of which was Liverpool and one of which was Woolwich Arsenal.
Woolwich Arsenal, indeed.
Who later became the Arsenal.
The Arsenal. We were also the first team from the south to compete in the league. That should be noted. And we were also the first southern club to win the league in 31.
You were, and the first London club to win the FA Cup. Wait, no, were you the first? Did Chelsea win it? Maybe it was the league I was thinking of. I'll just delete this if I'm wrong.
Well, Chelsea, Leyton Orient, Fulham, and Spurs followed us in. But
Spurs definitely won the FA Cup. So no, ignore me. You were definitely just the first to win the league.
That's more important anyway.
You weren't saying that in our FA Cup episode.
Well, it's because we're now the most successful team in it. So, these things transition in importance depending on where you place your priorities.
All you get at the Almanac is fully objective views. There's no subjectivity here whatsoever. No bias. None
at all, especially not when it comes to football. Can I just say that Middlesbrough Ironopolis should have also stayed as Middlesbrough Ironopolis?
I think they were different. Did they become Middlesbrough FC, or is it a different team?
I don't know. It might be a different team, but even if it is,
Either
they should
way,
have phoenixed it into that name.
Ironopolis, brilliant.
Yeah. The north-east is very industrial.
Yes. Anyway, I'd like to talk about money a bit as well, if I can indulge myself.
Money. Mate, you can't get through an episode of football without talking about money.
Because it is an interesting story, and it's interesting how much the power has swung from one side to the other in terms of who has it and who has the money, from the chairmans and the owners to the players. Not to say that the chairmans and the owners and the officials aren't also extremely rich nowadays, but at first it was crazy how much has changed. So basically football, as with many other sports, as we mentioned many other times, developed through the British public school system. And I should belatedly point this out, because I know people probably are confused by this. If they don't know already, public schools in Britain are private schools. They are the posh private schools. So anyone listening in America...
I think we tried to explain this before, yeah.
So yeah, they're posh private schools. So we're talking sports invented by well-off men with a lot of spare time and money in which to pursue leisure, which obviously wasn't the case in Victorian England a lot of the time, as in pursuing leisure time. and certainly having money wasn't the case, although leisure time did become more readily available. And actually, it was because of, in fact, I might even talk about this because this is interesting. So the money situation stayed the same, but as the century went on, leisure time became more readily available thanks to trade unions, progressive MPs like Lord Ashley and AJ Mundella, who fought for better working regulations, and many employers too seeing the benefits of particularly half Saturdays. So you'd finish work at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, and where would you go? You'd go straight to the football, either as a player,
see your
or
episode 7
as a fan.
History of football, FA Cup. Sorry.
Yeah, what that led to on a Saturday was the 3 p.m. kickoff. 3 p.m. kickoffs being perfect, A, because people were out of work, and B, because during winter months, it left enough time for matches to be completed before sunset, which was obviously important in days before floodlights.
The 3 p.m. is a staple of the English football diet as well now.
Protected staple as well. Like, you can't show matches live on TV at 3 p.m. on a Saturday.
No.
You have to either be later matches, earlier matches, or Sunday matches on TV, or Monday, or Thursday, or Friday, or whatever.
And they've tried. The money men have tried, but
they have, and they will keep trying, and it probably will change at some point. But that essentially is because they want fans to go to the ground, they want to buy tickets, they don't want them to sit at home watching football on the TV. There was actually a big drop-off of supporters going to games once Match of the Day came in, once football became broadcast live on TV, and this Saturday 3 p.m. rule was introduced, I think, in the 1960s to try and curb that. So I've gone off on a tangent, but it's interesting.
It is interesting.
Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway, as I said.
Back to the cash.
As I've already said, the football became professional in about 1885 after a group of Lancashire teams split from the FA, and the FA was smart enough to allow limited professionalism. So wages inflated pretty quickly. They were often paid the grand sum of £10 a week in the early days, equivalent to about £1,000 a week in today's money. So that's not bad money at all.
Not bad.
For a newly budding sport. That's obviously the top players, not everyone involved. Derby County, though. So basically this created a gap between rich teams and poor teams, as you can imagine. And the rich teams were obviously dominating, the poorer teams were falling behind, one of which was Derby County. And Derby County, being the little snitches they are, decided that... Leeds fans will appreciate that. Decided that the Football League should impose a maximum wage of £4 a week, not affecting most players, many of whom were still semi-pro or not paid that £4 a week. But it meant for the top players, it was a huge reduction. So just to put into context, like £1 was what an unpaid labourer would be expected to be paid a week at this time. £2 was what a skilled labourer would expect to be paid. And £4 is what like a foreman or like a sort of supervisor level would be expected to pay. So it's not bad money, but it's very much working class money. And obviously the people in power are very much not working class and probably have a certain amount of, will to keep the working man down or whatever else.
In their interests. It's almost as if when the people who have the power don't want the power shit to shift. Yeah.
Yes. So that was the first maximum wage, £4 a week, was implemented. It was opposed, though, so top players united to form the first players' union, which is the Association Footballers Union, to oppose the change to £4 a week, unsuccessfully. They included a Welsh international Manchester City winger called Billy Meredith, who is one of the most impactful footballers in British football history. Very interesting man as well. So the AFU succeeded in delaying the wage cap, but only until 1901, when the £4 a week cap was introduced. By the turn of the 20th century, just to put into context, so match ticket prices were about £1 each, which is equivalent to about £5 today, about £5 today.
Good value.
Yeah, not bad. Average attendances in the first division were about 13,500 at the time, at the turn of the century. So again, not bad, but it would grow a lot over the next 50 years or so. Gate receipts were split 75 to 25. So basically, on average, they'd be making about, I worked out about £14,000 per year per team, roughly, as an average. They're equivalent about £1.5 million today. So not bad money.
Yeah, doing okay then, yeah.
And obviously their gross receipts.
That's about the level. That is about National League South level, I reckon, now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So yeah, but it paints a picture anyway that in the early days, running a football club could be a profitable endeavour. So many players left at this point to join Southern League clubs, which was an opposing league, and they didn't have a wage cap, leading to Football League clubs having to take drastic action to try and keep their players and try and be competitive. Namely, that drastic action was cheating in most cases. Would shock you.
Tried and tested, to be fair.
Yeah. So this was revealed famously for one club in 1905, who were found to be bending the rules and spending more money than they were allowed to, leading to multiple charges from the governing body. Can you guess, Ben, what team that was?
Manchester City.
It was Manchester City in 1905.
Jeez. Been at it. I take everything back I said about City fans. It's always been your fault.
I should point out, everyone was doing it at this point. But City were the ones that got caught.
That's probably the same argument they're running now, mate, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably the same argument there. Oh, we're all doing it. Who gives a shit? It's like, that's the Armstrong argument.
It is. And it then leads yourself to think, look at the governing bodies and say, are you doing enough? Are these rules robust enough?
That's a fair critique.
Do you actually give a shit about stopping this? Yeah.
That's a fair critique. But it doesn't wash to say, we're all doing the wrong thing.
Anyway, it all came to light when, going into their final match of the 1904-05 season, City had to win to claim the title. They were playing Aston Villa, mention them again, who are out of the running at this point. It is alleged that one Billy Meredith of Manchester City tried to bribe Aston Villa's Alex Leake with £10 to throw the final game. Meredith later said this was a joke, and even Leake concurred later that it most likely was a joke. With no evidence taken from Meredith and an investigation completed behind closed doors, Meredith was found guilty and banned for a year. He later commented that had they actually believed he was trying to bribe Leake, they'd have banned him for life, which they probably would have done and probably should have done if he was actually trying to bribe someone. And many suggested it was retribution for his earlier prominence in the Association Footballers Union a few years earlier. Not wanting to further upset the FA and have more eyes upon them, Man City basically threw him to the wolves, basically refused to pay Meredith, which caused Meredith to retaliate by exposing that Manchester City had been overpaying their players for years. City were fined £900, 17 players were suspended, and the FA forced them to auction off all their players, with City rivals Manchester United picking up the cream of the crop, including Billy Meredith, who became the heart of their team that went on to win the First Division title in 1908, and I think won the FA Cup around that time as well.
No wonder they hate each other. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a basis for a rivalry, that right there. You don't need to know anything else about the fact that they're even geographically close. I think I'd hate a team if they did that to the Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't know how much that still is in the collective memory, but yeah, it certainly didn't help. So by this point, Meredith had organised the first meeting of a new union, the Association Football Players and Trainers Union, commonly known as the Players Union. So initially, the FA were open to the new union until the union actually tried to change things, threatening strike action and seeing the FA then withdraw their recognition of the union. But the union backed down in return for that recognition and the allowance of some bonus payments. So the maximum wage remained. It was increased to £9 a week by 1920, and then the FA unilaterally reduced it to £8 a week, which was a sign that only one group really had the power at this point. All the power was in the FA's hands, not in the players' hands. Just to jump back to Billy Meredith, though, he was interesting, as I said. He played at Old Trafford until 1921, when he was 47 years old, and then he rejoined City and finished his career there. He earned 48 caps for Wales.
Of the man. The cheek of that son of a bitch. He would not
so he
get
finished
through
his career at City.
Doors. Should not have got through the doors, that bloke.
He earned 48 caps for Wales, which was very impressive given you only used to play 3 internationals a year at that point. You're seething about that, aren't you?
That is unbelievable.
Anyway, the Players' Union declined to the point of pointlessness after that. The Great Depression happened, making footballers grateful even for the cap wages. It took the Second World War and the renewed militancy of Clement Attlee's Labour government being in power for the union to regroup, and got the maximum wage increased first to £12 in 1947 and later to £20. But it should be noted that in inflationary terms, that £20 a week in 1960 was worth less than the £4 originally at the turn of the century. We're talking in context of how sort of ordinary footballers were at the time in terms of how much they were paid. A legend of the game like Tom Finney, an absolute legend of the game, like huge legend, paid 473 times for Preston, 76 times for England. Probably would have made a lot of people's all-time England 11, maybe up until a few years ago, maybe still, to people with a classical preference for the game. He had to supplement his income as a plumber during his career and became a plumber full-time after his career in order to, have a living and make ends meet. And he was successful, but it just goes to show that these were still working-class people based on, because they were paid, they were kept that way, essentially. And a lot of people obviously hark back to that as being a good thing, certainly in terms of like balance in the league, which is true. It meant that a team with money couldn't dominate. You have to dominate through a good structure, good coaching, and everything else.
Yeah.
It wasn't just wages that were restricted. Like players were restricted on moving clubs. Like if they had a contract with a club and it expired, they couldn't leave that club. The club had to agree to sell them, which is ridiculous situation when you think about it. The amount of power that
Mr. Bosman came along.
Well, it was even before that. This was like the 1960s. Like it still was fairly restricted until the Bosman ruling. But yeah, at this point it was called the retain and transfer system. And famously, Middlesbrough legend Wilf Mannion, he wanted to leave the club at one point. The club refused. Basically, he had to go on strike for a year, where he refused to play. But the club had all the power and he had to back down eventually, and he played for them for 6 more seasons. So, yeah, this it all came to a head in the late 50s and early 60s when a charismatic and PR-savvy Fulham player called Jimmy Hill became the first... I know, you recognise that name?
Yeah.
Became the first secretary and soon after the chairman of the rebranded Players Union, which was now called the Professional Footballers Association, or the PFA. So he began a well-planned campaign in 1960, aiming for the total abolition of the maximum wage and reform of that retain and transfer system, and he was successful on both counts. The maximum wage fell quickly, with Hill's Fulham teammate Johnny Haynes becoming Britain's first £100 a week player, equivalent to about £2,000 a week today. So again, very good money.
Good money. Yeah.
But not quite the ridiculous amounts paid today. And in 1963, retain and trade was broken. It went to the High Court. George Eastham had been transferred to Arsenal in 1960, but Newcastle had been dragging their heels on it and refusing to sell. He then took them to court for loss of wages, essentially, and saying it was against fair trade regulations, and was successful, and therefore that rule was scrapped. So Eastham was an interesting bloke as well. He played for Arsenal for 6 seasons. He was an unused member of England's 1966 World Cup winning squad, although they have later received their medals, all the players. He later became a coach in South Africa, coaching local black children and being a noted opponent of apartheid, and acted as chairman of the South African Arsenal Supporters Club. So I thought you might like that.
Yeah, that's fun.
And Jimmy Hill went on to become a well-known broadcaster, most notably hosting Match of the Day for 15 years, the longest-serving host until one Gary Lineker recently completed his 26 years in the job, and he will be missed. Not by everyone, but certainly by me.
I felt safe with Gary at the helm. Now I feel uncertain and nervous.
I don't know. The new hosts are okay.
Okay, but
it's just not the same as having a single host, though.
Also, now that we've brought up Gary, I have a real problem with the way Match of the Day's going. Like the new hosts are good, they're good, they're talented people, but it's like trying to move it in the direction. It feels like they're trying to move it in the direction of Sky Sports, and I liked Gary Lineker because he was able to retain a neutrality and a lack of sensationalism. And he coupled that with entertainment and a good rapport with the likes of Shearer and Micah and all the other pundits that have been on Match of the Day with him over the years. And that to me is ironic for the reasons why they got rid of him.
He was excellent at his job. Excellent
so
at approaching it neutrally.
Yes, exactly.
The problem was his Twitter feed was slightly less neutral, and that obviously angered people for the supposedly neutral BBC. Who, let's not get political, but let's just say it's what he was saying, not so much that he was saying it.
But they are political. They're just talking fucking shit, the BBC, aren't they? Oh, we're neutral, except when we're not.
No.
But we're going to hang you out to dry because you got your own private Twitter. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, so yeah, Jimmy Hill, bit of a legend. He's got a statue now at Coventry. He famously once filled in for an injured linesman in a match between Liverpool and Arsenal at Highbury, so Arsenal and Liverpool, I should say, in 1972, and he went and ran the line because he was a qualified referee, so they put a tannoy announcement out, and Jimmy Hill came forward, and Jimmy Hill, if you don't know anything about him, he stands out a lot.
Yes.
Got a big chin, did Jimmy, and a larger-than-life character, and that must have been quite a sight.
Eccentric, yeah.
Yeah.
But much loved.
Much loved. Didn't have the greatest end to his career because he was embroiled in the Ron Atkinson saga, where Ron Atkinson said some deplorable things about Marcel Desailly when he didn't realise he was mic'd up. And Jimmy Hill actually came out and managed to say something worse about the whole situation, basically saying that was just the talk of, that's just football talk, etc., etc. But old men and their opinions. We've said before.
Yeah.
So he died in 2015 of Alzheimer's, but no matter what, he is still a legend of the English game. And what he did made a huge impact because, as I said, his legacy in football, for better or for worse, is that monumental shift in the balance of power when it comes to player contracts. So by the mid-1970s, the average annual First Division wage was by then about £300 a week, the same as £2,500 today. In 1977, shirt sponsorship came to the English game, further filling the coffers of big clubs. The league itself in 1983 got its first sponsor, Canon, and by 1990, John Barnes was on £8,000 a week at perennial champions Liverpool, the equivalent of $20,000 in today's money. By 5 years later, Arsenal signed one Dennis Bergkamp on what was then considered a staggering £25,000 a week, but later turned out to be a bargain.
That is a fucking bargain.
Dennis Bergkamp.
The Iceman. Why fly? Why fly? When you can walk on water.
Dennis Bergkamp was famously scared of flying. By 5 years after that, in 2000, Roy Keane was apparently on around £60,000 per week. And obviously this has continued to rise, with the highest paid player in England today being one Erling Haaland of Manchester City on over £500,000 a week, a far cry from the £4 a week the same club weren't actually paying their players in 1905. Although surely nowadays with no financial impropriety involved whatsoever, of course. And I should mention on a better note, the PFA is still ongoing. Its current player chair is Omar Beckles of Leyton Orient of League One.
Nice.
Should explain actually about the Football League. Obviously, the history of the Football League is expanded since this time. It was originally Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4. It was originally Division 1, then Division 1, Division 2. Then Division 3 came in, which was, it absorbed the, I mentioned the Southern League was a separate league. It absorbed the Southern League and the Northern League and became Division 3 North and South. That later became Division 3 and Division 4. And it stayed that way until 92 when the Premier League came in, and then everything shifted down one.
Yes.
So if you're confused at us referring to League 1, League 2, Division 1, Division 2, up until 1992, Division 1 was the top flight, and then it became the Premier League, and Division 1 became the second flight. The second division, essentially, what used to be.
This is going to get funny.
And then in 2004, they rebranded it, and Division 1 became the Championship, and then Division 2 and Division 3 at that point, so the old Division 3 and Division 4, became League 1 and League 2. So it's now the Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, National League North and South, and then obviously
so
more regional leagues below that.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy. Just digest it. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, we should probably talk about the Championship, actually, because it's such a unique league. But before we do, can I just say that now that you've painted that picture so beautifully, that there have been 145 teams that have played in the Football League up to the end of the 2024 season.
Nice.
So, obviously, there are 92 in the professional block. And that gives that perhaps serves to illustrate what we were saying at the front end of the episode about how difficult it is to get promoted. You only then have a difference of 53 other teams, I think it is, if my maths are not failing me.
Actually surprises me. Genuinely surprises me there.
Yeah. What, as in like it's higher or lower than you thought?
No, I'd have thought it'd be higher than that.
Yeah,
There's not that much wiggle room, really.
Yeah, it's very
difficult. Because it's been 92 teams for 75 years.
But I guess if you take into account, as you said, only 2 go up into the Football League, and there'll be teams that yo-yo because they'll have a financial advantage or whatever. I guess it doesn't leave. There's only been sort of like 140 opportunities, right? Yeah,
and there's been teams obviously that have been in the Football League since the beginning and never dropped out of it. Obviously, the likes of Everton, Stoke, etc., etc. I don't think Stoke have ever been in the National League. I don't know why I plucked them out. Certainly West Brom and Aston Villa and the like.
Yeah, so Arsenal never been relegated out of the top flight. But what's really interesting is, unlike most leagues in Europe, no English club has ever managed to remain and ever present in its top division. And obviously we'll get onto the Premier League next week. But
relegation surprisingly recently for a lot of top teams. I mean, Chelsea in the early 90s were in the second flight. Manchester United got relegated in the mid-70s. Famously, Dennis Law scoring that back heel to relegate them. Liverpool only got promoted to Division 1 most recently in the early 1960s, although very quickly became successful after that. Yeah. Newcastle and Villa both very recently been in the Championship. within the past decade
Yeah.
in both cases. And obviously they're established now. Spurs, I think it's been a while.
Yeah, they've been around for ages. It's like 8 teams in the Prem that have been top flight for a long time, isn't there? Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, what do you want to do? Because I think we need to talk about the Premiership because it leads into the Premiership, and we're going to talk about the Premiership next week. But I also, there are a couple of nice stories that are kicking around of people that have achieved what we said was achievable.
Yeah, I mean that's a good place to start. I've just got a list of notable moments, really. Nothing particularly taxing, but I can always throw that in after. I think a bit of glory now might be a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not all happiness, but like they don't. What I mean by that is not always a happy ending. But there've been some really good examples of like teams doing what we have said is possible. So like it's not just us musing about theoreticals. Like this does happen, and when it does happen, it is genuinely beautiful. I would say the most famous example is probably, or not the most famous, the current biggest success story is probably Bournemouth.
Yes.
Who are now in the Premier League. But and
a good Premier League team as well.
Yeah, very good Premier League team. Well established now.
Yeah.
But in 2008 and 2009, they started on minus 17 points with the threat of administration and almost out of business at the bottom of League 2, which meant that they were about to fall out of the Football League and into the National League, as we've been saying, so out of the professional echelons. And one Eddie Howe, now of Newcastle fame, and the current EFL Cup holder, took over in January of that year, still 10 points adrift at the bottom of the league, initially on a caretaker basis, becoming the youngest manager in Football League at the time, at the age of just 31. He kept them up with a game to spare, which I think is taking the piss. Like, frankly.
That's just fairy tale stuff, yeah.
Yeah, just a little doff of the cap. Oh, yeah, we'll have the final game at home. Like, just, lording it up because we've managed to pull off this great escape.
But then what happened then?
Well, the next year, they came second and were promoted to League One. So, turn of fortunes, 2010-2011 season. But Eddie Howe then left to Burnley, and Bournemouth stayed in League One for a couple of years before Eddie Howe returned as manager in 2012-2013. Not only did he pull the club away from their early season relegation battle from League One, they achieved promotion to the Championship, returning to the second tier of English football for the first time since 1990. So yeah, not back-to-back promotions, but effectively back-to-back promotions for Howe whilst at Bournemouth, having also, pulled off a miracle to keep them in the Football League. Then they came 10th in their first season in the Championship before winning it, basically, in 2014-2015. And then he managed to keep them in the Premiership for 5 years. He was eventually relegated, but 2 years later they came back and they've been in the Prem ever since. So not quite sort of like from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, but a pretty cool story about survival and getting from the bottom of League 2 back to the promised land of the Premier League, in remarkable circumstances.
Yeah, and doing so as a very unfashionable club, relatively speaking. I mean, the stadium is still very, very small.
Yeah.
It's smallest in the Premier League. Obviously, there's a lot of money in the Premier League besides selling tickets, but at the lower levels, there's not. Ticket sales remain the biggest earner. I don't know if it's still the case with like the Sky support is again now, but regardless, to only have a 12,000-seater stadium and to go up from the bottom to the top, it shows it was a really well-run and really well-managed club. And we are, generally speaking, fans of Eddie Howe.
We are.
Largely as a result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a more contemporaneous love affair is Wrexham.
Wrexham, yeah.
Yeah, relegated in 2008 out of the Football League. They did 10 years in the National League before they were finally promoted back to the Football League in 2022-2023, pipping Notts County in a ridiculous season. 111 points, plays 107 points.
And Notts County don't get automatically promoted with that, as we've said before, although they did win the playoffs.
They won the playoffs on pens, I think, having finished...
Which was crazy, yeah.
Something like 25 points ahead of third. Yeah, so, doff of the cap to Notts County as well. But, Wrexham then they've gone back to back, baby. League One and League Two.
Back.
Last 2 seasons, 3 in a row, is it? Both via runner-up finishes, and they'll now be competing in the Championship, which is,
It is a step up. And the Championship, as we said, there's not a huge step up really between the National League and League Two. Doesn't appear to be anyway. Championship is a whole different level because you've got teams who are in the Premier League. You've got teams who want to be in the Premier League desperately next season. It is a whole different step up. I mean, the Premier League, again, is a huge step up from the Championship. Because as the last 2 seasons, the 3 teams have been promoted, have just been relegated straight away from the Premier League. But Wrexham will have... I'm very interested to see how Wrexham do. Obviously, with Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mack backing them, they've got plenty of financial power. They've had investors. They've got more capital as a result of that, and they've been spending their money accordingly. It's going to be a completely different kettle of fish, and be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah.
I hope they stay up. I hope they consolidate a bit.
Yes.
They ain't getting promoted again, put it that way. I'd be delighted to eat my cap on that one, but they ain't getting promoted again.
Yeah, it's improbable for sure. Yeah, because the Championship is brutal. And I think the next example I just wanted to cite, it sort of illustrates that quite nicely, actually, because it can go the other way sometimes. So Luton Town.
Certainly can.
Geez, great journey, great story. 2009 to 2024. Like, 5 years in the National League, 4 years in League Two, back-to-back promotions to get to the Championship, 4 years in the Championship, 1 season in the Prem, got annihilated, but Jesus Christ, they got there.
They got there, again, not with a big stadium and not with a
budget or anything like that.
Classically fashionable team, Quite the opposite, in fact. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the stadium's fallen down.
Yeah, very down-to-earth club.
Rob Edwards just doing absolute bits. They lost in the National League playoff 3 times, lost in the League Two playoff once, and lost in the Championship playoff once on that journey. So, like...
Yeah, lost to York one, in the
Yeah.
National League.
Absolutely insane. But they got relegated out of the Premier League, and then they got relegated again straight away out of the Championship, which has also happened to the likes of Sunderland in the past. The Championship is a barbaric and unforgiving league.
It is.
And, yeah...
You can be on the brink of the playoffs in like December, January time, go on a bad run and end up getting relegated. But equally, you can be in a relegation battle, go on a good run and end up getting in the playoffs. It's often so tight in that middle of the league. It is a very competitive league. It's a brilliant league.
Yeah,
it is. There's a reason it's one of the most watched leagues in Europe, and it's a reason it's about the 6th or 7th biggest league in Europe by most measures. It is an incredible league.
Yeah, it is so good.
I was going to say big shout out to our mutual friend John Barry for his persistence in supporting Luton Town for all this, because it has been a heck of a roller coaster for him and for all Luton Town fans.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully they'll bounce back.
You might think
and not go down to the bottom like they've gone to the top.
Well, no, like you don't want to fall like a stone, because then, as we've discussed, it becomes very difficult. And as they know through their experiences in the playoffs, it is very difficult.
Yeah,
but you might be thinking, you pair of fuckwits, you've been banging on about this pyramid, like, and you're giving us all these examples of these teams just yo-yoing up through the professional echelons. Well, hold your horses and relax, because AFC Wimbledon are your team.
Yeah.
AFC Wimbledon.
To set the context for this, if you'd listened to episode 4, which was our NFL episode, and I think probably our basketball episode as well, we talk about one thing we don't like in American sports, and that is teams relocating to other cities and setting up there, changing their whole base of operations and moving to a different city. This doesn't happen in English football, except for once it did. Ben, you want to take the story away?
Yeah, so Wimbledon, who were a very well-established side with a huge following. I say huge, not in the context of sort of like the Liverpools and Man Uniteds of this world, but a very well-supported team. A bit like Crystal Palace, I would say.
Yeah, they're almost like a cult team.
Yes.
Almost. So they won the FA Cup in 1988, famously, beat Liverpool in the final. They were a Premier League team in the 90s. I remember growing up watching them.
Yeah, the Crazy Gang.
A Crazy Gang, exactly. Played a very unique brand of football, shall we say. Probably not a unique brand of football, actually. They just played a long ball game, which was effective.
Very effective, yeah. But they were a decent club in their own right, and they decided they were going to relocate to Milton Keynes and become the Milton Keynes Dons. it didn't cause riots, but people were not happy.
It's just not done. It's just not cricket, as we would say.
And I think it was underestimated by those relocating, like how serious the fan base would be about that. And to put it succinctly, basically every single person that was from the Wimbledon fan base area just fucked them off and said, see you later then, you go to Milton Keynes, and decided that they were going to form AFC Wimbledon. But obviously, if you're going to form a new club, you start at the bottom.
And they did.
They did. In 2002-2003, AFC Wimbledon competed in the Combined Counties League Premier Division, which is levels 9 and 10, essentially. And then,
right at the bottom.
Yeah, and then until 2004-2005, that's the league they stayed in until they were promoted to the Isthmian League First Division, which is level 8. They won there, sealing a promotion to the league's Isthmian Premier Division, level 7, the one that Billericay are in that I was talking about earlier. They then stayed in the Isthmian Premier for 3 years and they were promoted to the National League South, level 6, which is the one which Chelmsford City are in, which I was talking about earlier. They then eventually won the National League South, taking them into the National League, level 5, the one that York City are in that you've been talking about and that we've been saying is very difficult to get out of. They were in there in 2009. They were in the National League in 2009. They won the National League playoffs against Luton, of all teams, who we just mentioned, in 2011.
Which was incredible.
Yeah, reaching League 2, level 4, with their 5th promotion in 9 years. In 2016, they were promoted to League 1, level 3 via the playoffs, 14 years to the day after their formation. They have then since been back down to League 2 because they got relegated. But last season, they were promoted back to League 1, where they'll be playing again this year. So AFC Wimbledon are the evidence you need that this is possible. It can be done.
It's an astonishing story, and it's a story that they're always going to be the fans' favourite in it. I mean, Milton Keynes Dons to this day still get criticism for their very existence, and they have played Wimbledon a lot more recently because they've been in the same league quite often. But
the thing that's really cool about AFC Wimbledon is, we said at the beginning that the game belongs to the people here. There is the clearest illustration and demonstration of what we mean by that. Like, you can be the powers that be, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your fans, you can go fuck yourself. They'll set up their own team, and they'll do it their way, and they'll get back to where they were before.
And obviously, as we've said with American teams as well, they do build a fan base. Obviously, there are young kids in Milton Keynes who are probably delighted that they've got a team to go watch. But, for the rest of us, you might be glad to know that next season, MK Dons will be in League 2 and AFC Wimbledon will be in League 1, playing in the league above them.
Poetic justice. Because that's the thing, there's no smite on Milton Keynes here. Set up a team in Milton Keynes, just don't take one away from other people.
Exactly. But they'd have had to start from the bottom then.
Yes, they would have done, and that's why they didn't do it. Right, the Championship.
Yeah.
Because that is where we should
focus.
Transition into the Premier League. So it cannot be defended. You go to the Promised Land.
Yeah.
Established in 1892, as you say, 133 years ago, it's Football League's 2nd division. Strictly speaking. Was the summit of English football for 100 years. You've already said that. 1992 became the 1st division, 2004 Championship. Just a rebranding, as you say. The basics, 3 up, 3 down, except playoff football.
Yes, which, you know what? Criticise it all you want. Obviously, teams that finish top still get promoted, but God, the playoffs are good.
Oh, they're
good.
Damn good. Playoffs, I didn't know this. Did you know this? A reaction to fan violence and disillusionment with English football.
Oh, no, I didn't actually.
Apparently, the straw that broke the camel's back was in 1985, where at a semi-final of the League Cup between Chelsea and Sunderland, more than 100 people were arrested after more than 40 people, including 20 policemen, were injured during fan trouble at the game. And then 9 days later, violence flared up at a match between Millwall, of all teams, surprise, surprise, and the aforementioned Luton Town. seats being used as missiles against the police. This sort of stuff. Subsequently banned away supporters. Luton subsequently banned away supporters. And then you had the Bradford City fire.
Yeah, which I've got some notes on if now's a good time.
Yeah, it is a good time. Go ahead.
So this is the biggest tragedy in Football League history. 11th of May 1985, 56 Bradford City fans and died, and 250 more, or more than 250 more, were injured. Valley Parade Stadium, which was antiquated, shall we say, by the mid-1980s. Its main stands were made largely of wood, including a wood roof, and suffered from a huge amount of rubbish and debris built up underneath the stand as well. And it was believed that a fan's cigarette dropped onto that debris and started a blaze. It was a very windy day, which is often the case in Bradford. Many of the crowd were able to escape onto the pitch. Fortunately, there wasn't a fence between the stand and the pitch. Otherwise, many more would have died, and that was common in the 1980s due to hooliganism. But wasn't the case here, which was fortunate. But unfortunately, the escape routes, there were no fire exits. The escape routes were chained up for the duration of the match to stop fans getting into the stadium if they didn't have a ticket or if they arrived late. And the turnstiles as well were chained up, so they couldn't get out through the turnstiles out into safety. So fans who chose those routes to exit, unfortunately, were caught in the fire, many of whom losing their lives and many of whom receiving very bad burns, obviously, as a result, which led to there's a big link now between Bradford City Football Club and the Bradford Burns Unit. Forgive me if I get the name of that wrong, who obviously did a lot of work in the aftermath of that to help survivors. So there was a report completed on it called the Popplewell Inquiry. It was held into the disaster and found the club had been warned about the fire risk from the rubbish, but that the stand was due to be condemned 2 days later. So they were doing something about it. Just the timing was horrible in this case. But the unforgivable thing is obviously the lack of safety routes, which led to a lot of changes in football and in the United Kingdom generally, to make sure that fire exits were always available. New wooden stands were banned. Old wooden stands were allowed to carry on existing, but smoking was banned within them, which I think is fair. And obviously many clubs then modernised their stadium over the next decade or so, but I can't imagine anything worse being caught up in that. Not being able to escape. It's horrible.
Is it Gabby Logan's dad or someone in her family was caught in it?
I don't think Gabby Logan's dad, because Gabby Logan's dad was Terry Yorath, who was a Leeds player.
Maybe it wasn't.
I don't know if he was manager at the time, was he?
Or something? Maybe something like that.
Yeah, he was. Well, no. Oh, no, so he was later Bradford City manager. I don't think he was at the time.
I think she has links to the fire.
Oh, no, he was playing for Bradford City at the time.
Yeah, there you go. So
he must have been playing at the time.
So I wasn't completely mistaken.
Maybe she was there. Perhaps.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I can't remember the particulars, but yeah, a grim episode. And
Gabby Logan being one of Match of the Day's presenters next season.
Yeah.
Just to link that back, yeah. Great presenter.
She is a very good presenter.
Of football and rugby.
Excellent rugby presenter. And yeah, a good all-rounder. Olympics, everything. She doesn't need our endorsement. She's quality. But Heysel was also less than 3 weeks later. We won't rehearse the particulars of Heysel. Go see our episode 9
Champions
League episode, sorry, yes, if you want to hear a bit more about Heysel, because we talk about it in a bit more detail there. What all this meant though, mate, the reason I was sort of setting that scene and you were helpfully elaborating on what happened at Bradford is because fans were really disillusioned with the game. Audiences were dropping, this, that and the other. And so there was a meeting known as the Heathrow Agreement, which was reached as a result of that meeting to discuss a structural reorganisation of the league, to try and sort of boost fan engagement and get people back watching the game again. And as part of that, the concept was to reduce the top tier from 22 clubs to 20 and to introduce the playoffs to facilitate the change. And the playoffs were brought in at the end of the 86-87 season, and they were initially introduced for only a provisional 2 years. And if they were successful with the general public, then they would retain them permanently. And so the Football League playoffs were effectively established in 1987. And the original format was cross-divisional. So teams vying for promotion played against one team trying to avoid relegation. So a 3-1 split. And only one club that entered the playoffs in the relegation place managed to stay up in those playoffs, which was Charlton, I think, in 87.
Beat Leeds, yeah.
Retain their divisional status, top divisional status.
My dad will remember not so fondly Leeds United's woes with the playoffs starting there.
But it's a current format from 89, pure promotion. And 2003, they discussed an expansion to the 16 playoffs system, which is adopted at non-league, which we were talking about earlier, where you get a bye if you finish second or third in those divisions. So in this one, it would be if you finished third or fourth. But they rejected that. The Championship playoff is the most lucrative game in football, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Accountants.
Played at Wembley, the final now. Since 1990, I think, played at Wembley. Two-legged originally.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's a good little addition to the trivia. Accountants of various degrees of prestige have described the 2020 final as the contest for the biggest financial prize in world football, with promotion being worth at least £135 million in the first season, and another 130 million if they manage to avoid immediate relegation. So one game can cash you 265 million quid in 2 years.
It's insane.
Absolutely mental. And that is the gulf that you're trying to bridge between the Championship and the Premiership in a nutshell.
And yeah, like we said, the last 2 seasons, it doesn't always happen. It has happened once before, I think in the 90s, but the last 2 seasons, all 3 teams have been promoted from the Championship have immediately been relegated. So the gulf is only getting bigger, and that's because of all this money. If you establish yourself as a Premier League team, it is very hard to come in and break that stranglehold. You have to gamble, you have to spend a lot of money, which Sunderland are this season. We'll see how that works out for them, and Leeds are to a certain extent as well, although Leeds have very good financial backing now by Red Bull. But and the San Francisco 49ers as well, their ownership group. Yeah, Leeds are very well backed, but Burnley don't seem to be doing it quite as much. But we'll see how they do. But that's for next week. That's Premier League.
Yeah, that's the Prem. A fun little convention from the playoff final. The losing side keeps all gate receipts,
which is good. It makes sense.
It does make sense.
The winning side will not give a 2 shits about all that money.
No,
they're about to make a lot more.
But yeah, like it's obviously normally gate receipts are split, aren't they? And so it's quite nice that whatever you earn from your fans turning up goes to the side that you defeat. I mean, the Championship, we've already mentioned how competitive the Championship is. It's absolutely insane. Sunderland in 2006-2007 went from second bottom to promoted in the season.
Yeah.
After I think 5 or 6, 7, 8 games, they were bottom of the league, or second bottom, and then they ended up going up autos. Roy Keane was manager, weirdly. There's been back-to-back promotions. So Watford, as you said earlier, Man City, Southampton, Norwich, Ipswich. What we mean by that, is teams coming up from League One can get promoted into the Premiership, which is what we were saying that Wrexham are trying to do, but it's unlikely. It has been done before, but it's rare. Very rare.
Yeah. Ipswich most recently.
Yeah, in Ipswich.
But then immediately got relegated.
They got eviscerated in the Prem as well. So, it's not always in your interest to do that because you effectively take a League One team into the Prem, unless you've undergone a major revamp in your playing staff over the course of a single season and 2 transfer windows, which is rare.
You just have to gamble big time, or pull out all the stops. I mean, it's been a few years since, but it is possible to have success, just not in recent years, not in the last 2 years.
And as we've said already, it works both ways. So we've had back-to-back relegations. Swindon 94-95, Wolves 2012-13, Sunderland 17-18, Luton last year. Coming out the Prem is no guarantee that you're going to do well in the Championship either.
And really, really big teams. Very classically big teams in English football, most notably Leeds United. They didn't get back-to-back relegations, but after a few years in the Championship, they found themselves relegated to League One as well. So, as happened to Sunderland, who are a big club, as we mentioned, very successful in the early days. Southampton as well. Did Leicester as well go down to League One? So big clubs, big former Premier League clubs find themselves down in League One.
Yeah,
it can happen.
It can definitely happen. It's I mean, even the clubs that come out of the Premiership get relegated out of the Premiership because of, anomalies or particularly bad seasons, like your Villas, your Newcastles, maybe to a lesser extent, but still perhaps meriting discussion in this regard is like Leicester, West Ham, Fulham, Forest, Wolves. They've had to spend quite a lot of money to ensure that they bounce straight back up. And in some cases, that's caused some difficulty, Leicester being the obvious one.
Yes.
But yeah, like, Brighton, Brentford have managed to get out there and are now in the Prem. But, it took a long time. Brighton is a particularly good story as well.
Probably talk about that next week because they are superbly run football club.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say, mate. There's 10 stadiums in the league with a capacity over 30,000.
Yeah, teams average 40,000 capacity. I mean, Sunderland last season, what's Sunderland? 50,000 seater stadium?
Yeah, something like that. It's
Stadium
massive.
of Light.
Yeah. I
they were
don't know how big it is.
Packing it at times last season.
Yeah, like, at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Oxford, the Kassam Stadium, 12,500. And this season you'll also have Wrexham's Racecourse ground, which is also, pretty small. But it's so well supported. The average attendance was 18,787 a couple of years ago. I think it's the second highest per match attendance of any secondary league after, have a guess, you already mentioned the country.
Bundesliga 2.
Yeah, Bundesliga 2, I think is just above in terms of average attendance.
Okay, yeah, that whole "we love it more than you" thing at the beginning. Little caveat for the Germans.
Fuck off. We're not drawing the line at the second league. Like, what's your combined counties attendances looking like, guys? What's your record in level 6, huh?
I'll find out for you.
No, I know. I'm
gonna
have egg on my face here. The Germans are gonna have like an average attendance of like 10,000 at like National League South equivalent in Germany or something. But yeah, okay. Our German brethren are right up there, but it goes deeper here.
Certainly older here.
Yeah, it's definitely older.
And we don't have to pussyfoot around some of our history as well.
That is a jibe. I enjoyed it though.
Famously Bayern Munich's badge in the 1930s.
Yes. I mean, how do I get us out of this hole?
Dunno.
I don't know if I can. Maybe only.
I can talk about the EFL Cup quickly.
Well, do, but before you do, can I just say the quality of the championship in terms of the player that you will see is extraordinarily high. You won't necessarily know
so
it
high
at the time because, of course, they're playing in the championship and they'll probably go on to do the greater things afterwards. But in recent times only, this is a non-exhaustive list of the players that have played in the championship. Jude Bellingham, Gareth Bale, Ollie Watkins, Diogo Jota, Ruben Neves, Jared Bowen, Kasper Schmeichel, Jamie Vardy, Ivan Toney, Michael Olise, Eberici Eze, Jack Grealish, James Maddison and Victor Gyökeres have all recently played in the championship, and I'm talking like last 5 to 10 years or so, maybe slightly longer for the likes of Bale. Crazy.
Yeah. Just give me a second to recover from one of those names we mentioned.
Diogo.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, EFL Cup. I should mention as well, the EFL is the rebranding of the Football League. So the Football League was called the Football League for nearly 150 years, and then was rebranded in 2016, I think, to the English Football League, the EFL, which I quite like. Has a nice ring to it. And the EFL Cup is the Football League Cup originally. First started in 1960, and it's open to all Football League teams then, and now is open to all Football League and Premier League teams. So the top 4 divisions all compete. Premier League teams, I say they tend to not take it seriously, but the last time a big team, if you were to call it that, didn't win it was probably like Swansea 2013. Because Newcastle are a big team now, and they won it this season. There's no doubt they're a big team. They're in the Champions League next season.
So romantic. How on earth did they break that trophy drought?
I mean, Eddie Howe's a good manager. We'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, he is. I'm very pleased with
him. Yes. So, 1960, League Cup introduced, as I say, open to all teams. It helped boost the Football League standing a little because they demanded a European place for the tournament winners, which UEFA allowed so long as the winners were in Division 1, so they joined the UEFA Cup. winners of that, which gave the Football League a bit of a bolster over the FA in terms of like their relative power. Aston Villa won the first competition. 1962 competition is worth mentioning because Rochdale of Division 4 made an extraordinary run to the final, where unfortunately they lost to Norwich. They were managed by a man named Tony Collins, who's very interesting. He was another black pioneer in football, as he was the first black man to manage a Football League team. But yeah, obviously League Cup run by the Football League, as opposed to the FA Cup, obviously run by the FA. Played every year, most recently won by Newcastle, finals at Wembley.
Yeah, like that's a good way of just quickly explaining as well that there is a cup for every level in the pyramid.
There is, yeah. There's a cup for League 1 and League 2 as well.
EFL trophy.
Forgive me, it's the EFL trophy. I can't remember who sponsors it now, but it doesn't matter. But
the EFL trophy is levels 3 and 4, so Leagues 1, 2, and the under 21 teams from the Premiership and the Championship.
Yes,
and the holders are
interesting mix.
Peterborough United are the holders.
I don't think an under 21 team has ever won it. Or am I wrong in saying that?
I don't think they have. I think you're right about that.
It does. It actually does go to show the strength of like League 1 and League 2 relative strength. The Premier League under 21 teams can't win that tournament, or haven't yet won that tournament, unless I am mistaken.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, so obviously, take it from the top then. FA Cup, every level, see episode 7, holders of Palace.
Yeah.
You've just told us the EFL Cup, EFL Trophy we just discussed. FA Trophy, levels 5 to 8, non-league basically. Holders, Aldershot Town.
Nice.
The FA Vase.
York have won that in the past.
Have they? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
FA Vase
quite recently
is levels 9 to 10, amateur, holders, Whitstable Town. And then
love to see it.
You've got the FA Interleague Cup. Who knows what the fuck that is? Don't know who the holders are. Don't care. That is very low level, and it's you'd have a representative from certain leagues going into it. So I presume like league winners or something. And then you have the National League Cup, which is level 5. And that is the National League plus the under-21s. And you were just saying about the under-21s. The current holders are Leeds United's under-21s.
I knew that, yeah.
Which serves to illustrate that under-21s at Premier League level and Championship level are probably about the same as National League level.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah, and then once you get to level 11, you have local FA Cups. So the North Riding Cup in my area, which obviously teams from around here will compete to at all age groups, all the way down, which is good.
Indeed.
Yeah. I only have one more thing I'd like to talk about, and we are running out of time. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
The only thing I wanted to do is give you a very fun story from a very low level to illustrate the beauty of the pyramid.
Is it?
But I will do.
Is it a fun story to end the episode on? Because I'll let you do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very lighthearted.
I just like to. It's sort of jumping off the back of Tony Collins, who I mentioned recently. I want to talk about the first black professional footballer ever. And he's quite an interesting guy to talk about. His name was Arthur Wharton.
Oh.
He became the first black professional player in 1889. So if we talk about the colour barrier that you have in American sports, Jackie Robinson, 1947, after the Major League Baseball had been going on for, like 60, 70 years at that point. That's how long it took. It took 1 year for the Football League to get its first black professional. And this is not to say that English football is completely innocent in how it's treated black players in the past. In fact, far from it, as many players in the sort of the 70s and 80s particularly gets mentioned a lot. John Barnes being a particular example will attest to. But anyway, so the first black professional player, Arthur Wharton, played for Rotherham Town as a goalkeeper. He didn't make his Football League bow until 1893 because Rotherham simply weren't in the Football League until 1893. He was the first black Football League player in 1893. He is an interesting guy. He was born in what is now Ghana to a missionary father of Scottish and West African mixed descent and a mother who was of Ghanaian royalty. He moved to... Yeah, I know. It's crazy. He moved to England at age 19 to train as a missionary, but quickly abandoned that when he realised he was actually really, really good at sport. He equalled...
You know, this God stuff. Fuck that. I'm playing some ball.
God-given talent, eh? God gave him this ability as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, true.
Might as well pursue it.
That is a very convenient argument to run to a missionary father.
he equalled, and this surprised me because he was a goalkeeper. He equalled the 100-yard sprint amateur world record.
Whoa.
He must have been quick off his line as a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Why is he not playing on the right wing?
I know.
Or
he
left,
did actually.
If he's left
later in his career, he did dabble as a winger, but goalkeeper. He must have been good.
Just gassing fullbacks. Yeah. Sorry.
He cycled. He played cricket to a good level as well, but obviously goalkeeping was his strength. He played for the dominant Preston North End team of the 1880s, but he left just before their invincible season. He had a short and very unpleasant spell in what the team that became the team that became Sheffield Wednesday. Oh. He wasn't very. He made some mistakes in a match and then got a lot of abuse from the fans, unfortunately. There, so he joined Rotherham in 1889. And later he joined Sheffield United, where he was the understudy goalkeeper to the legendary William Fatty Fook. So I don't know if you've heard of him.
I haven't, but that's a great name.
A large man, shall we say, who also played, who was actually a brilliant goalkeeper and also played first-class cricket as well, don't you know? Unfortunately, Arthur Wharton did have a tough retirement, as many footballers did at this time. Obviously, not much earnings during football, so he had to go back and he had to work down the coal mines. Later in his life, he developed an alcohol problem. He died at the age of 67, and he was buried in a pauper's grave. However, 67 years later, in 1997, anti-racism campaign group Football Unites Racism Divides campaigned for him to have a headstone put up, and they were successful. So there was a headstone placed at his place of burial. He was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2003, and there were statues of him present at both the England training base at St George's Park and the FIFA headquarters in Zurich, honouring his status as likely the first ever professional footballer of African origin, the first black professional footballer. Yeah,
that's interesting. That's a really cool story. It's really nice. Like, I'm sure we are telling it in terms that were nicer than some of his experiences that you alluded to there. But
sadly, yeah.
But obviously, like, it's nice to recognise it and tell that story. Yeah, that's a cool one, mate. I like that. Shall I end it with sort of where we began?
You'll have to, because we're running out of time.
Yeah. So I'll end it by saying, at the beginning of this, in the intro, we said that your team always has a chance, no matter the league you're in, and where you start, what your circumstances are. It's all irrelevant, and I think that is very nicely demonstrated by what happened at the Combined Counties League Level 9 last season, which was a roller coaster season with an absolutely insane ending. So 38 games, and the Jersey Bulls and Red Hill finished level on 96 points. Jersey were top on goal difference and set to be promoted in the automatic position, with Red Hill going into the playoffs. But Jersey were docked 3 points for fielding an ineligible player earlier in the season who should have been suspended in March. And they find out at the end of the season that they're getting docked points. So they then go 3 points below Red Hill. So now Red Hill, second place Red Hill, they're set for the title, despite the fact that they finished below the Channel Islands side. However, they get deducted 3 points for serving an ineligible player at the end of the season. So that means you've got Whiteleaf FC, who would have finished third on 95 points, only 1 point behind Jersey and Red Hill, taking the autos, leapfrogging both sides and taking automatic promotion to the 8th tier Isthmian Premier League Division 1 South game. League, level 8. And this resulted in the promotion playoff for Red Hill against Cobham, which they lost.
Oh.
And Jersey went into a playoff against Fleet Town, and luckily for Jersey, they went up in the playoff beating Cobham. But Red Hill stay in the Combined Counties League. So Red Hill, keep your chins up. There's always next year.
And if
you're a Whiteleaf fan, it serves to prove you start the season with optimism, because you never fucking know what might happen.
Even once the season's over, you never know what might happen.
The Football League season is back, baby.
So where can we watch it?
Literally everywhere. Just go down to your local club. They're on.
Yeah. Sky Sports has every single bloody EFL match now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the red button.
You can watch it on the red button. National League has some games on TNT. Below that, you're not going to get any airtime on TV unless it's your playoffs.
Below that, buy a ticket, go to the match.
Go to the game.
And if you listen to it doesn't matter what country you listen to. I was going to say, if you listen to this in England, go buy a ticket to your local club just for the hell of it. But wherever you are in the world, go buy a ticket.
And if you're a football fan who's visiting England, there'll be a game on.
Always.
And it won't be shit. It will be great.
So next week, where are we?
Premier League, you know that. We've been discussing it.
I know that. Not understanding how this podcast format works, are we?
No. Well, yeah. Premier League, we're buzzing. You and I both have a vested interest in the big one, the big prize, but there's lots to talk about.
A bit more compact history, obviously. It doesn't quite go as deep. Be a bit more focused. Talk about the great players, talk about the great teams. It'd be good. Can't wait.
It will be very fun. So yeah, back-to-back football. We love it. We make no apologies for it. See everyone next week.
I'll make a small apology for Ben and his English arrogance, but other than that, no apologies for it.
Well, I am unapologetic, unashamedly so.
Famously,
you got to listen to what I'm saying, not hear what you think I'm saying. But yeah, all right, mate. Well, let's leave it there then. And yeah, excited to talk about next week's topic when it comes.
It couldn't be more in our wheelhouse, so looking forward to it.
All right.
Cool.
Au revoir.
Right. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Laters.
Bye-bye.
Once again, thank you for listening to the Sporting Almanac podcast. We may have recorded this episode before the Euros final, but this outro is all about Chloe Kelly, Hannah Hampton and the Lionesses. That was pretty special. If you enjoyed this episode even a fraction as much as we enjoyed that, then please a like, a subscribe, a rate or a comment would be amazing. But please do tell your friends first and foremost. Our theme tune is Oh Yeah by Harmony Productions. You can find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at The Sporting Almanac, or drop us an email at thesportingalmanacpodcast@gmail.com. Next up, it's the Premier League wheelhouse, baby. Until then, stay curious. No matter how much you think your nation loves it, sport is always nothing without the history that makes it. Goodbye.